Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. We are now in lecture 3, Entity Relationship Modeling, part 2. In this lesson, we will take a look at attributes, attribute types, strong and weak entities, and attribute on relationship. Attribute is a property of, a characteristic of, or a fact that we know about entity. Some attributes have unique values within an entity set, which we call as primary key. Each attribute also must have a domain, a set of allowable values for one or more attributes. There are few types of attributes. The first one is simple attribute. We will have a composite attribute, single valued attribute, multi-valued attribute, and also the derived attribute. Simple attribute is an attribute composed of a single component with an independent existence. It cannot be further subdivided into smaller components. For example, salary. Composite attribute is an attribute composed of multiple components, each with an independent existence. Some attributes can be further subdivided to yield smaller components. For example, address can be divided into street, city, and postcode. For single valued attribute, it is an attribute that holds a single value for each occurrence of an entity type. For example, salesperson number, only one value can be attached to the attribute. Multi-valued attribute is an attribute that holds multiple values for each occurrence of an entity type. For example, we have email. Users may have multiple email addresses. How to solve the problem? We can create new attribute. For example, we name the attribute as primary email and alternative email as two different attributes in our entity. This is the example. If the value is more than 2, it is better to create new table to handle the multi-valued attribute. For example, we create a new table email, then create a relationship between user and email table. One user will have many email addresses, just like in the example. Last type is derived attribute. It is an attribute that represents a value that is derivable from the value of related attribute or set of attributes, not necessarily in the same entity type. For example, the total number of staff, total staff attribute of the staff entity type, can be calculated by counting the total number of staff entity occurrences. Same goes with age. We can calculate the age from the DOB. Let's take a look at strong and weak entity types. Strong entity type is an entity type that is not existence dependent on some other entity type, while weak entity type is an entity type that is existence dependent on some other entity type. For example here, we have a client and preference. Preference entity cannot exist if the client does not exist. Now let's take a look at the last part, which is attributes on relationship. It is the presence of one or more attributes assigned to a relationship may indicate that relationship conceals an unidentified entity type. So we can convert the attribute on relationship letter to become a breach entity. That's all for now. See you again in the next part. Thank you.